is Franca. I am your host, and this is Francamente, the podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you so much for listening. And without further ado, let's bias your football content. Hello. Welcome to episode 13. Lucky number 13. We are doing it. We're doing it. We are podcast hosts. Like, who would have thought? I want to give shouts to Sports as a Weapon, Miguel. I was on his podcast, and we're gonna, depending on when this drops, I'm not sure if that episode will officially be dropped, but I had such a great time. So just follow them. It's a really great podcast. You know, those of us that do radical sports work need to stick together, right? So yeah, shouts to Sports as a Weapon. Speaking of Sports as a Weapon, my kit today is the Oakland Roots supporters group called La Brigada del Pueblo, which is the Latino supporters group, did a Palestine solidarity kit. Look at it. Look at the red detail. It's so nice. It's so sexy. Mine's customized. On the back, it says my Twitter and Instagram handle at Francamente. So whenever I rock it, people will see, like, come get more radical takes, because it's radical. You know, the Oakland Roots account did not tweet about this at all. It's interesting that La Brigada del Pueblo, you know, the proceeds went to a charity, and normally when supporters groups do that, the team does promote it, right? But Palestine is so controversial that even the Oakland Roots never promoted it. But look, on the side it says for the Pueblo for Palestine, right? Like, it's like it shouldn't be, but even like supporting Palestine is already a radical position. So it's really interesting, the dynamic of when this dropped, and who promoted it and who did not. But I love this kit so much. And I'm excited to rock it. It's rare that we get kits that will just in your face be like, this is what I stand for, right? And then, you know, and then it's right there. So I love it. I love this kit so much. I love this podcast. I love my listeners. Y'all are so amazing. I can't believe we're getting through this like so quickly. I can't believe we're, you know, like on a roll. We're consistent. Like, look at us. Let's just like clap for ourselves, right? For doing such amazing stuff. What are we going to talk about today? Probably another similar episode to last week. A couple of subjects that actually still need to be kind of fleshed out because of last episode, when it was recorded, when things dropped, you know, things happen quickly. And so I'm going to start by talking about Uruguayos Campeones. The last episode that I recorded, they had just beat the US in an imperialist win for the entire global South, right? And then they had to play Israel next, and they did, and they beat Israel, and then they went to the final and they beat Italy, which was a worthy opponent, right? Italy has a lot of football history, and Uruguay won, and it was such an incredible day. I did a live about this. Go check it out. It's posted on my Instagram on Francamente. It was such an amazing, inspiring moment. First of all, the town I grew up in North Jersey is a town that has a lot comparatively, like, you know, per capita, because there's not a lot of Uruguayans in total, but it has a lot of Uruguayans for the size of the town that it is. And I happened to be there. I was eating outside at a restaurant, and so I started to like hear honking like the second it ended, and I was like, yes. And there was a whole parade. Like, this is what happens in that town. There's a lot of Colombian folks as well, and different, you know, like different nationalities. And whenever anything happens in football, you take to this main street that I happen to just be on. And because I don't currently live there anymore. But it was so amazing to see like so many Uruguayans. And then, you know, they start to come out. So like the Dover ones, it's called Dover, the town. They started to come, you know, immediately. But then you could tell people from like kind of like neighboring towns started to like show up, and then the parade got bigger, and it was so great. Just like the honking, it was such a great reminder of how much I miss that like camaraderie of being able to do that, you know, having grown up with that. And it was just so wholesome and incredible for these kids. And, you know, one of the things that I have mentioned before, but it's worth mentioning now too, is that this World Cup is really important because this is where stars are made, right? Like, this is where we'll have our future stars. This is where Bielsa, hopefully, shouts to Bielsa too. He's been winning, you know, I mean, obviously we played teams that Uruguay should be in these friendlies, but you know, to take on a team and like those are your first two games, and that's no small feat. So Bielsa's doing amazing, and you know Bielsa is just salivating at the thought of having these young kids who just won this World Cup, being on the big team. So just amazing, incredible stuff. I can't wait to see what the future holds for Uruguay. This is really amazing. And one of the best things I saw, obviously there's lots of memes, there's lots of like different takes from, especially from leftists, like sports people, right? Of South American, specifically global South, Uruguay, Argentina, and Brazil, supremacy in football, which like nothing makes me happier. I know y'all think I'm insufferable all of the time, but when shit like this happens, I just go off the rails. You can't tell me nothing. You cannot tell me nothing, okay? Uruguay just won this World Cup. Argentina just won the big World Cup. Brazil is Olympic champions, and I think they have another thing that they're reigning champions, maybe in another maybe 23 or something like that. Like in the world, these are world championships, true world championships, not like in the US where, you know, we say like world champions and it's literally a league that's played just in this one little country. So, I mean, just incredible, like momentum, excitement, supremacy for the global South. Like it's chef's kiss. It does not get any better than bragging rights, right? Like no one, you can't tell me nothing. People love to have stuff to you know, to say like, oh, and bring and this and like it's the future, like blah, 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 like you're so stuck in history. Like people love to say that to Uruguayans, right? Like we're stuck in history and also we're still fucking supreme. So bow down to us. And yes, I will be insufferable. You're welcome. Yeah, so South American supremacy, incredible stuff. On that front too, let's talk about Messi. Let's talk about Messi. Let's talk about Miami. Let's talk about delusional United Stations. Let's talk about delusional United Stations. Let's talk about delusional United States. We'll save Messi for a little bit later. What the hell is going on at US Soccer? What the hell is going on at US? What the jokes write themselves at this point. It's not even fun to make fun of the US anymore at this point. They're the laughing stock of the world. How are you going to rehire after all of that bullshit everyone was put through? How are you going to rehire this man? How are you going to rehire this man? How are we supposed to take you seriously as a football association, as a football federation? Like what, like on what plan? Like the jokes write themselves. You know, people are so delusional. This is actually related to the Messi thing because people are so delusionally talking about how, you know, Messi coming to MLS. And I talked about this on Sports as a Weapon a lot more. So listen to that episode too. But, you know, Messi coming to the US, it's going to do great things for soccer. And then the US goes and does that. Like you are the laughing stock of the world. Also, let's look at the delusion that some of these US soccer fans had, that they were like, they thought they were going to get these big names that were all up for grabs or whatever. Like, bitch, no one wants to come here. There was actually, I don't know if it was an article or a long form tweet that mentioned that, like, you know, people were saying like, oh, so-and-so, like Ancelotti, like different people being like linked to the US. They didn't even take a call from the US Federation because your federation ain't shit. Your team ain't shit. Nobody wants to be complicit in this imperialist bullshit, and nobody wants to deal with the corruption that is CONCACAF. All right. So I just love, because I always know I'm right. I know I'm always right. Like I don't need confirmation of that. But when it does come, and when that validation does come, you betcha I'm going to rub it in your face, especially if it has to do with imperialism, especially if it has to do with US, you know, like centrism and capitalism and all that bullshit. Like you betcha. Like you, I told you, we told you this team ain't shit. This country as a footballing nation ain't shit. It ain't never going to be shit. And it's just so delicious when stuff like that happens because it just puts the delusional, you know, fascists in their place, and it's beautiful. Like, what did you why did you go through that whole circus of pretending to like take this seriously? Also, like, the whole thing was bullshit. There was no correct side. There was no side to be on. There was no one to root for because it was all like, it was literally a petty argument between rich parents from North Jersey. By the way, this is one of the things I'm not proud of, but it's so accurate to the way white people, especially, but in these football spaces, act. And you know what? Let's talk about the connection with the number one issue of why the U.S. as a nation, but also in terms of their leagues, okay, is never going to amount to anything in terms of football. And I've said this before, rich people are not good at sports. Rich people are not good at sports. They've never had a need for anything. They've never felt hunger. I mean that metaphorically, also literally, but they've never felt hunger. They've never felt drive to need to do anything to escape a situation, like whether it's living on the streets or whether it's whatever other, you know, things folks have to deal with who are poor. Rich people are not good at sports because they've never had to sweat, metaphorically. They've never not known where their next meal is going to come from. The best players in the world of any sport, but definitely football, which is like the democratizing sport in terms of essence, right? Came from nothing. That's not a coincidence. What happens in the US? We've got this bullshit pay to play. The US, the most capitalist fucking imperialist nation in the world, okay, is so capitalist that every little thing needs to be exploited for money. So you've got this pay to play system that starts when kids are really, really little. Who can afford to play on the teams, the traveling teams, like all of these teams that will get you to a level that you'll get noticed to even get on some of these youth academies, to even get on some of these, you know, that will get you on the path to national team playing? Rich people. Rich people. And rich people are not good at sports. So then you've got people like your little captain, you know, NRA Mar, who everyone loves and is so overrated. Not only is he a racist, you know, NRA member, like card carrying, imperialist, all of that stuff, fascist, but he's just not that good. He's just not that good. Like, the overrating of that man is abysmal, right? You like, that's your captain. That's your leader. That's your guy that you put your whole, like, all your eggs in his basket. Of course you're going to fucking fail. Now you're going to embarrass yourself and be the laughingstock in 2026 when the World Cup is hosted here, a joint World Cup, because everyone keeps forgetting that part. And you're going to embarrass yourself at home. And I can't wait for it because you did this. This is your own doing, US Soccer, by putting on this whole circus, okay? All of this, and the point of this is that it's all connected to the fundamental issue of why this whole shit blew up, which was like, should have been nothing, you know, this fight between the Reinas and Bearhalter and who knew whom, and like this, and like the kids and whatever. It's the exact toxicity of suburbia, white suburbia soccer moms in the United States. And that's who you're putting all your eggs in their basket. That's who you're counting on to take you far in the World Cup. You're delusional. You're delulu. It's delulu o'clock, okay? There is no better word to describe fucking US soccer stands and their little delusions, right? As this new word that TikTok taught me, which I'm obsessed with, which is delulu, all right? No more delulu fascists. That's the name of the episode. Oh, the name of the episode is Delulu. Okay. No more. Like get over yourself. How much more are you gonna fall flat on your face and embarrass yourselves and continue to keep up this rhetoric? At this point, I don't even feel right roasting you. And my bread and butter, okay, my raison d'être, okay, my reason for existing, okay, is roasting U.S. soccer and U.S. soccer fans. And I don't even feel comfortable doing it because it's embarrassing, because at this point, it's like, why kick a horse when it's down? Is that a saying? I don't even know, right? Like, why would I keep going? You're doing it to yourselves. The jokes write themselves. It's embarrassing. Stop it. Stop it. Become humble. Do some self-reflection, okay? Reflect on why you're so delulu that you cannot have an inch of self-criticism. Because then what happens is, when that shit happens, then all the fanboys come like, oh, we trust in this, and he's really good, and whatever. We have to stop this. We need a dose of reality for United Station delulu soccer fans. And nothing makes me happier, though. Nothing makes me happier than seeing U.S. soccer fail. So on that note, let's go to a little break and we'll be right back.
Hey, make sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And help us out by leaving a rating and review, and remember to share it with a friend. Don't forget to follow Franca on Twitter and Instagram at Francamente for the latest news. And lastly, please visit realfrancamente.com for bonus content, including articles, photos, and for more information about the podcast.
Speaking of delulu, okay, along with all of this discourse around U.S. soccer and all of that, there is the messy drama, messy gate, or I don't know what we're gonna call it. Messi to Miami has been the hot topic, the hot button issue. I just talked about this on Sports as a Weapon. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it for many reasons. I hate it because I think I would have liked to have seen Messi back in Barcelona. I realize that's not his fault. Like, Barcelona's a mess. I would have liked to see Messi even go back to Argentina. I mean, at this point, he's won every single thing. I think there was no need for a money grab. Now, I am very, very happy he didn't end up going to like Saudi Arabia. Like, it's a step up, right? Coming to Miami. But speaking of Delulu's the theme of the episode, right? Like, it's doing all of the wrong things. It's giving all of those like MLS and United Station stands, like the Delulu people, fodder to be like, see, MLS, like, oh, like, we're good because Messi's coming. And it's giving people all this false hope to make them more delulu. Like, people are like, oh, now MLS will really be big, or like, now like U.S. soccer is really going to pick up. Like, I hate to break it to you. There is nothing, and especially not a publicity stunt like this, right? There is nothing that's going to make U.S. football good or mainstream or more popular in this country that isn't like a full overhaul, like systemic redo of the whole way the shit works, starting with getting rid of promotion, or with introducing promotion and relegation, which is the way it works in the whole world. Starting with getting rid of pay to play, because take it back to the beginning, rewind if you need to. Rich people are not good at sports. And so you've got this whole dynamic that feeds into it. This isn't a one person problem. This isn't a one team problem. This isn't a one a one-prong issue. Like there's a lot of things that come into play. And certainly, even though Messi is messy, right? He's not going to fix it. First of all, everyone's going wild with and like buying all these tickets up for the next time their team plays Miami. You like don't even know. We don't even know when he's going to start playing. There's all sorts of stipulations. There's all sorts of stuff. There's the whole turf discussion. Is he going to play in fields that are turf? No one should. That should be like banned. Turf should be banned from football, from professional football stadiums. So I don't really get what we think this is going to do. It's awesome that people want to see him. It sucks that this is making this pathetic league money. It's a publicity stunt. Then there's all sorts of loopholes because we're like, okay, another issue with MLS is the salary cap. That's unfortunately, like in this capitalist world, you can't like the salary cap is what's keeping you down in many, many cases, right? Unfortunately. And so now to get around that loophole, they're giving him all these deals like potential ownership, kind of like they did with Beckham, right? Like he set the precedent. But they're giving him like Apple TV, money and Adidas money. And I just think it's a circus. I'm not sure what he was thinking. I don't pretend to know what, like to try to like analyze what he was thinking. I'm sure, living in Miami has its perks for, for famous footballers like that. And there's a lot of Argentinians there. There's a lot of culture or whatever. But most of them are gusanos, but that's neither here nor there. And then the Busquets thing, people are like, oh, they planned this. Like, did you not think that Messi would have a backup? Did you not think that this was not already planned way before the potential Barcelona move happened? And he was going to have a plan B because Barcelona can't get their shit together. And this has been years of this that they've been trying to, right? So I just don't understand if people are really being like willfully obtuse or if they're genuinely confused, right? Or they're like, oh, they planned this with Busquets. Like, I mean, yeah. They have like at the very least, he's going to try to at least bring, someone that makes him. I mean, he's Messi. He's going to run the shit. Now we're talking about who's going to come coach, because who can coach Messi? Who can coach Messi, right? It's a question. And it's really, I hate the circus of it. I hate the, it's a lot. I didn't want it to come to this is where we have these like moments, like those of us that are like more socially conscious and also fans of the sport, where we have those moments of like self, like self-doubt, self-flagellation, like, oh my God, like, why are we complicit in this? It's a circus. Again, I like, a lot of people have asked me for my opinion on this. I'm not excited. I didn't want to see him come here. I think it all works to just further this delulu attitude that like football in the US is going to somehow explode. It hasn't in 25 years. It's not going to now just because one person comes, and even if that is Messi, right? Like it's just not gonna, like, we need to, like, I think US, and it's interesting because US soccer fans have a double dynamic going on, right? Like they have an inferiority complex for being soccer fans, which is the sport that's the least watched and the least important sport in this country. But they also have that US centrism, which makes them delusional about where they stand in the world in terms of like how good their league is and their team and all that stuff. And so it's just like a perfect storm of delulu, like fans, right? Of like, oh yeah, like this is gonna be the thing. Every couple years or something, like this will be the thing, and it just never happens. And again, it's a multi-prong issue. That I think this is gonna be more of a disaster than anything else. I don't think teams are I don't think MLS is capable. It's not set up to handle everything that's gonna come with the Messi bandwagoners, right? Like in terms of like selling tickets, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of concessions, like, oh, like whatever, you know, like whenever he comes to your stadium, it's just going to be a mess. And pun not intended, but I'll take it. It's going to be a mess. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm so disillusioned with everything that is MLS and US based football that, like, I just can't see this as a good thing. But it's happening, and I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see where, you know, we end up. Interestingly, related to Messi, there was also the situation with Mbappe, which, like, we've seen, you know, dramatized, right? Like, oh, Mbappe hates Messi, and, like, you know, he left when Messi came back for his, like, you know, thing from the World Cup, which was pathetic. By the way, PSG should have done way more for Messi when he came back from the World Cup. The fans don't like him. He's been trying to leave. He never even wanted to go there. And then Mbappe is like, will he, won't he with Real Madrid? It's been years now. Finally, he said, no, he's not going. And I'm bringing this up because there's this, like, are they friends? Are they not? Do they hate each other? Does Mbappe really run shit at PSG? And he's the one that wanted, you know, to kick Messi out, blah, 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 all of that discourse. I don't know where I stand on that, but Mbappe did make a post for Messi's birthday was yesterday at time of recording. And he made a post for Messi's birthday of them, like a cute little homoerotic picture of them holding hands. By the way, remember my homoerotic analysis of the World Cup? Go check out that live on my Instagram. A little, like, you know, they're holding hands, and he's like, oh, happy birthday, you're this, you're that. And it's just interesting to see that, like, which is it? Like, that kind of drama I do kind of live for. Like, are they friends? Are they not? Like, does Mbappe really wish him a happy birthday? Did he do that under pressure? Because the message was also kind of dry. So those are the types of things that are just, like, so fun and funny. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen. We're entering kind of like the slow season of football. The last game I watched was the Europa League final, where Spain beat Croatia barely in penalties. It was a pretty good game. I mean, it was on Father's Day. We watched the whole thing. And it was fun, but, like, I haven't watched, I mean, I can't watch MLS. I just can't. I can't bring myself to do it. But South American football is always on, and, you know, that's maybe the direction we'll go in for the remaining of the summer, like, talk more about that. But yeah, it's kind of a slow time in terms of actual games. So now's really when we can get into the nitty gritty of all this, like, stuff, you know, like all the external stuff. So thank you so much. We'll stop there for now for today. This is another episode down, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you liked it. This has been Real Francamente, the podcast. My name is Franca. I'm your host. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Real Francamente on both. Check out our website, www.realfrancamente.com. You can find lots of content there, or contact us directly with any questions or comments. All links and ads will be in the show notes if you need them or want them, and for ease of not having to spell them yourself. Please subscribe on your favorite platform, and maybe leave us a rating and a review if you like it, and share with your friends. Don't forget to buy us your football content. Gracias y ciao.